only killing and not redeeming, despising all living beings. He had under 300,000 soldiers. His command in Beiming City, obeying orders but not imperial decrees, and was the most read existence in the capital. He Yanli didn't even look at her. His gaze, like that of a venomous snake, was tightly fixed on Qiao Wanyan, as somewhat astonished expression, and the hat red in his eyes could not be hidden. He especially remembered how, in the rainy night at the back door of the Qiao family, she had used a disgusted and disgusting expression to say those hearts-wrenching words to him. Qualifications to be my childhood sweetheart. Don't come to me again in the future, so as not to make me so sick that I can teat. Qiao Wanyan was a bit surprised. According to the storybook, should anything have always been at the banquet in Jiahua Hall? How could he appear here? She hadn't finished flirting with the crown prince yet. How did he Yanli come at this time? He Yanli walked closer step by step. Ziwan was Tim. ID in her heart and knelt down with a thud, realizing that she was a bit useless. She opened her mouth to make up for herself. Your servant Grishing. Qiao Yiwan glanced at the stunned Qiao Wanyan, quickly walked over to support her, and said, Wanyan, quickly pay your respects to His Highness Prince Jing. Heezy glanced at the various emotions of fear, uneasiness, and surprise on Qiao Wanyan's face. At first, he also knew why his 9th younger brother had attempted suicide back then, why he had gone to the National Temple to practice for 3 years, and why he had gone to Beiming City now that he was back. According to his ways of doing things in recent years, he would definitely take revenge on Qiao Wanyan, but that had nothing to do with him. The post he sent to the Qiao family had Qiao Wanyan's name on it, just to make the Qiao family allow Yihuan to come. He didn't TCAR at all who would be retaliated against street, but just now he had favored Yihuan, and at this moment he indeed felt a little guilty towards Qiao Wanyan, using power to bully others. And it was still the little girl who had bullying, encountered grievances and wanted to go home. If he stood by and did nothing at this moment, he would feel a bit sorry. Why did you come here? 9th younger brother, the cold wind is piercing to the bone, and Jiahua Hall is warmer. 9th younger brother, come with me. He Yanli walked to the front of Qiao Wanyan, looked at this face that he had dreamed of every night for 5 years, and suddenly smiled. But that smile was sinister and evil. No matter how Qiao Wanyan looked at it, she couldn't see that the smile carried good intentions. Instead, her scalp tingled and a chill rose. He Yanli held military power and was like egged of the people there in Beiming City. In the past, his smile was bright and unrestrained, like the breeze between a freeze, heaven and earth. But now, he was the biggest villain in the storybook. He was athered in the path of the male protagonist, Ziya's ascension to the throne. She read the storybook until the middle of the night that day. She only read most of it until Qiao Yihuan came the crown princess. And then she was so sleepy that she couldn't open her eyes and fell asleep. She didn't whether Heeziu finally held on to the position of the crown prince, and whether the capital was finally tramp-led flat by Yanli. I came here because there is someone I went to see. Heeziu glanced at Qiao Wanyan. Qiao Yihuan said gently, Your Highness Prince Jing, my younger sister is soaked and needs to change clothes. I'll take her away right now. He Yanli raised one eyebrow slightly and said, It seems that your sister, Lai, relationship is very good. Qiao Yihuan pursed her lips and didn't answer directly. Finally, she smiled awkwardly and said, My younger sister is young and naughty in habit, temperament, as her older sister It is my duty to take care of her. He Yanli's sinister gaze fell on her face. I hate hypocritical people the most. He never believed that after being bullied by Apperson for a long time, one could still have good intentions towards that person. Kiao Yuan's lips turned slightly pale, not understanding why he humiliated her like this. Ninth younger brothers, don't go too far. He Shiyu frowned slightly, unhappy in his heart. Yi Huan was the most pure and kind person in this world. If others didn't, how could he not know? Ziyuan said cautiously, Your Highness Prince Jing, my young lady is soaked. It's so cold outside. Can your servant took the young lady down to change clothes? Otherwise, if she stays any longer, she might freeze to death. He Yanli said calmly, Your young lady has always valued her appearance. If she can die at the best age, she can keep this beauty forever. Isn't that very good? Kiao Wanyan, listen to what you Ray saying. Is that a human thing to say? She half closed her eyes. Her originally porcelain white skin now showed a morbid paleness on her cheeks because of the cold. Kia Wanyan called out softly Yanli. A strange color flashed in the bottom of He Yanli's eyes. He stared at her in silence for a long time. We are not that familiar. Don't you think it's disrespectful to call me by my name like this? Kia Wanyan bit her lower lip tightly, not letting the tears in her eyes fall. But at the moment, she lowered her head. The tears fell like one by one, a broken string of beads. Bastard man. Don't beg me to call your name in the future. Jing Yuan was a bystander, but seeing her like this, he thought that His Highness Prince Jing was an unforgivable person who bullied an innocent little girl. Clearly, the second Miss Zhou was a bondwoman. Why did her crying so easily rouse the pity in his heart? Poisonous? Definitely poisonous. Bad women should be kept away, and bad women who can pretend to be pitiful should be kept away even more. He Yanli frowned slightly. What was she crying for? It was just that he said she was disrespectful, and she was so wronged. How could she saying such heart-wrenching words back then? So squeamish. Seeing this, He Viu opened his mouth and said, Why don't you help your young lady changing clothes? Ziyuan immediately stood up, glanced at the expression of Prince Jing, and seeing that he had no intention of stopping her, she quickly supported Kiao Wanyan and left. He walked to the side of Kiao Yihuan. He Yanli glanced at the two of them and said, I want to disturb you. Imperial brother, I'll go to Jiahua Hall first. Jing Yuan's face was ugly. How dare he call himself this prince in front of the crown prince? So arrogant. But one was the prince who had lived in the Akron capital for a long time with not much real power. And the other was a prince who had 300,000 soldiers under his command in Beiming City. Even if he was a bit arrogant, he had the capital to be arrogant. Mo Xiao nodded slightly, turned around, and followed behind Prince Jing to leave. After leaving the Moon Gate, he asked, My lord, the second Miss Zhou hurt you deeply. Back then, don't be soft-hearted. A trace of coldness spilled from the corner of He Yanli's mouth. Soft-hearted? She is greedy and full of scheming. Those who are true feelings should commit suicide and die, so as not to dirty other people's hands. In the Fu Yun Hall, a palace maid brought a luxurious dress made of floating light brocade. Ziyuan was a bit surprised. The crown prince actually had such fine material sent over. The palace maid said, Miss Ziyuan, there is no mistress in the Eastern Palace, so women's clothes are not usually prepared. This dress of floating light brocade is attribute from the Kingdom of Yunnan. It was just taken out of the warehouse. I up second miss. Ki Ao doesn't dislike it. The palace maid of the Eastern Palace spoke polite, light and thoughtfully, even though Ziyuan was usually bold and straightforward. She smiled and thanked sister. "You're too polite. How could my young lady dislike something from the Eastern Palace?" "Thank you, Your Highness." After closing the door, Ziyuan trotted into the inner hall with as miles. In winter, the heating in the Eastern Palace was warm. Qiao Wanyan soaked in the bathtub, washing away the chill from her body, steamed roses and dispersed. And in the haziness, her long black hair hung outside the tub like a waterfall. Qiao Wanyan had fair skin, as smooth as congealed fat, and her skin was like jade, crystal clear water. Droplets slid down from her shoulders. She lightly raised her jade-like arms, and the water reflected the beauty of her chest was faintly visible. Ziyuan was dumbfounded for a moment, feeling a heat in her nose. The next second, she immediately raised her head, almost getting nosebleed on the dress. Young lady, the palace maid brought a dress of floating light brocade. Qiao Wanyan raised her beautiful eyes and glanced at the clothes in her hands. Floating light brocade was a precious material. Even her grandfather rarely got such a precious things. This was a product of a neighboring country. Only the royal family of Deu had it, and it was all tributes from neighboring countries. She's read from the storybook that this dress, brocade of floating lights, was given to Qiao Yihuan by the crown prince. Ziyuan put down the clothes, stopped the nosebleed, and complained, "Young lady." Although His Highness sent such fine material, he was really biased towards the eldest young lady in the matter of Zhaoying. He only gave Zhaoying 50 strokes of the board. That lowly maid got off easy. Qiao Wanyan closed her eyes, feeling the warmth around her dot to get rid of. Zhaoying is as easy as crushing an ant for me, but such a maid who is loyal to Qiao Yi and Huan, impulsive and brainless, is so easy to use. Isn't it appetite to lose her? Ziyuan didn't understand and looked puzzled. I don't understand, and I can figure out what the crown prince is thinking. Clearly, young lady is so beautiful, but His Highness was just biased towards the eldest young lady. Qiao Wanyan stopped talking. If it were the older who fell into the water, the one who would jump in to save her would definitely not be the crown prince, and he wouldn't punish Qiao Yi Huan's person either. It's understandable that he's biased towards Qiao Yi Huan. He likes Qiao Yi Huan now. If he quickly changes his mind and likes her because of Today's incident, then she would think the crown prince is not worthy of even a little bit of true heart. Let him gradually change his opinion of her. Watch him gradually turn his heart towards her. How challenging and interesting the process would be. Qiao Wanyan let out a long breath. After going back today, you went to the bookstore where you bought the story book before and asked who wrote the storybook I read earlier. Yes, young lady. Although Ziyuan's hands were rough, she was the most skillful in the Qiao family. In just a moment, she styled an exquisite Qiaoyuan Jin Xiang bun. Gorgeous hairpins were inserted in her hair, and the floating light brocade dress, shining brightly, was worn on her body. Ziyuan only felt that the young lady was absolutely stunning. She was the most beautiful, wealthy, flowers blooming in the capital. After leaving the Fuyun Hall, Jing Yuan waited personally in the outer courtyard. Second, Miss Zhou. His Highness said to send you to Jiahua Hall when you come out. Qiao Wanyan said, tell His Highness for me that is suddenly feel a bit unwell and will go back today. Jing Yuan was a bit surprised. With second Miss Zhou's temperament, she would be eager to stick to the crown prince when she saw him. Now she actually said she would go back Not feeling well must be an excuse. Could it be that she really had a change of heart and no longer clung to the position of crown princess? Second, Miss Joe. Are you sure you were not joking? He still had some doubts. Kia Wanyan's eyes were filled with a faint light. The floating light brocade sent by His Highness is too precious. If I wear it to the banquet, it will definitely bring trouble and rumors to His Highness. And my elder sister is also at the banquet. I didn't want her to misunderstanding. Jing Yuan felt that he was really about to not recognize her. Could such a considerate person really be the second Miss Joe in his memory? Then I'll send someone to take Miss Second Joe back. After Jing Yuan had the master and servants sent away, he planned to return to Jiaohua Hall, but a palace maid stopped him. Returning to Jiaohua Hall, he walked to He Ziyu and whispered a few words in his ear. Then He Ziyu's face showed a look of surprise, apparent lie. He didn't expect her to be so thoughtful and considerate of him. Countless women would wish to be stood by Miss Under the world. Could it be that she really no longer clung to marrying him? If there was still some doubt before, now Adis with the floating light brocade could confirm that Kia Wanyan had really changed her mind. This was good. If she was quiet, he could be a caring brother in a law to her. Jing Yuan moved to the left, blocking Kiao Yuan's view with his back, and handed Alitas a colored pouches from his sleeve to the crown prince. Your Highness, this is what second Miss Joe left behind. He Ziyu glanced at it. The pouch was exquisite and carried a light agarwood fragrance. Now Kia Wanyan was unhappy because of his bias. If he lets Yuan take it back, it might cause a quarrel and make Yuan wrong-ed. He Ziyu took it. He could return it to her another day. Today, he had a qualitative understanding of Kiao Wanyan. She was just as somewhat pamped red and willful but not bad-natured women. He had heard before that Minister Kiao and his wife doted on their second daughter very much. It was understandable that she was a bit pamp red under such doting. Now, to avoid rumors for him and not let Yi Huan see her clothes and misunderstand and are sad. She was also a kind-hearted person by nature. He Shiyu shook his head. In the past, understanding a person from the words of rude. The maid was indeed a mistake due to his concern. He Yanli's slender fingers rubbed the wine glass, watching the crown prince put away the lotus-colored pouches. His eyes were dark and sinister. The style of that pouch belongs to Kia Wanyan. Giving a pouch? Sure enough, she was a vain and power-hungry person. It saw meds that she had been putting her mind on the crown prince all these years. She wanted to be crown princess, but he wouldn't let her have her way. After the welcome banquet, the crown prince and Prince Jing entered the palace in the evening. Prince Jing hadn't returned to the capital for 5 years. The emperor held a family banquets, and the palace was rarely festive. In the cunning palace, the empress sat high in the main hall in a magnificent dress. No matter how many times you say it, I would never agree to let a concubine's daughter, born to marry into the Amistress Eastern Palace as the crown princess. The empress's face was gloomy. Her brows furrowed tightly, mentioning this. Unhappy. You know my situation in the palace. As the legitimate son, you almost lost to the son of that lowly woman. Concubine Hui back then. Now you want to marry a woman who can make it to the table as yours principal wife. Do you want to cut off your own future? If it weren't for the trouble with Concubine Hui's maternal family, the current crown prince wouldn't see you. He Ziyu didn't dare to disobey too much. Mother, Yi Huan just has a poor background, but she is gentle and kind and will be a qualified crown princess. The empress sneered. anyone can pretend to be. Gentle and kind, your principal wife must be a woman who can help you stabilize your position. If you insist on marrying, then marry Qiao Yihuan's younger sister, the legitimate daughter of the Qiao family. He Shiyu stood up. Mother, I don't want to. The empress was sad and helpless, but refused to back down. Back then, as the empress, she was bullied by that lowly woman concubine Hui. The mother of a country had no real power, and everything in the harem was decided by concubine Hui. Ziyu saw it with his own eyes when he was young, so he hated those vicious women who were jealous and would do anything for power and status. If not for this, how could Ziyu have fallen in love with a weak and innocent person like Qiao Yihuan? But a woman like this could hold the position of crown princess or empress. She couldn't help Ziyu either. Her most satisfactory candidate was the granddaughter of the Grand Tutor, the head of civil officials. Unfortunate lie. That girl married early this year to Amen, who was not outstanding in any way in her hometown. The legitimate daughter of the Qiao family is out, standing in both talent and appearance. How is she worse than Qiao Yihuan? He Shiyu was stubborn. Mother, I'm not a person who lusts after beauty. I love ye, Huan, and will only marry her in this life. Miss Zhou, second is very good, but in the future, I'll only be in her brother, law, and will never covet her. You, the empress, was so angry that her head hurts. Unfilial son. Unfilial son. He Shiyu slightly bowed. I'll take my leave first. Wait, your father has been very troubled by a matter of the refugees in Qingzhou recently. It's the depths of winter and near the new year, and the refugees have no home to return to. Igno, this is not a good task. But now that Prince Jing has returned to the capital, you must share your father's worries and solve difficulties for him. He Shiyu's expression changed slightly. It is my duty to share worries for the country and the emperor. He's read that Qingzhou was not far from Yangzhou. Every year, Yihuan would go to Yangzhou for the new year. In the Wangyu Tower, Qiao Wanyan sat in the elegant seating of the private room, watching the people performing on the first floor. The table was filled with rich fruits and sweet meats. Truly a pleasure. Ziyu hurried in. Young lady, I asked the shopkeeper of the bookstore, but the shopkeeper said he had read all the books in the bookstore, but he had no impression of the one you were looking for. So he doesn't know who wrote it. Qiao Wanyan's misty eyes brows s lightly furrowed. The book was gone, and the author couldn't found. Could it be that the book only appeared for her and disappeared after she read it? Not for others to see, but she hadn't finished reading it yet. Ziyu said, young lady, it's almost the new year. We go back to Yangzhou with the master and madam every year for the new year, and we'll go this year too. When do you think we should buy something to give to the cousin young masters and young ladies in our hometown when we go back? Every year, Qiao Wanyan would go back to her maternal grandfather's home in Qingzhou for the new year with her parents and Qiao Yihuan. Her mother was the only daughter in the family, and her father loved her mother, so he loved everything related to her. He thought the whole family reunion would make her maternal grandfather is happy. Qiao Wanyan picked up a sweet meat and put it in her mouth. Even if her parents didn't go back this year, she would definitely go to her maternal grandfather's home for the new year. In the storybook, when returning to Yangzhou this year, Kiao Yihuan would accidentally save the man in Ayang, an underground dark market in Yangzhou. That young man was a wolf cub with a strong sense of defense and excellent skills. In the future, he would be gradually influenced by Kiao Yihuan and become her most trusted hidden guard, protecting her safety and even secretly adoring her in his heart, willing to guard her for a lifetime without a name. And it was this young man who would kill her for Kiao Yihuan in the future, kill her in an extremely cruel way. This time, she would buy that wolf cub before Kiao Yihuan. She wouldn't influence him with love like Kiao Yihuan, but first control him with medicine, slowly torture him to relieve her hatred, and then kill him. It's better to rely on yourself than to beg others. It's better to get rid of the future troubles with your own hands. This year, the whole family was originally planning to go back to Yangzhou, but unfortunately, Jinxi accidentally sprained her foot and was in convenient NT to travel. Minister Kiao naturally wouldn't leave her alone to take the children to her parents' home for the new year. After thinking it over, he let the two daughters go back to Yangzhou, and they stayed in the capital for some private time. Kiao Wanyan originally wanted Kiao Yihuan to stay at home, but Jinxi didn't allow it. As the mistress, she could do whatever she wanted in the mansion, but outside, she must let others know that she was a dignified and fair mistress. Originally, because of her merchant daughter background, she was looked down upon by those official ladies in the capital. If she was spread to be harsh on her concubine daughter, it would really disgrace the Jin family. At the entrance of the Kiao family, Minister Kiao and Jinxi repeated lie instructed, Yanyan, you must be very careful on this journey. Don't talk to strangers, and don't go out alone without taking people with you. Kiao Wanyan found it a bit funny. Father and mother, I'm not a child anymore. Don't worry, I will. Definite take good care of myself and my sister. Minister Kiao felt sad. The daughter had really grown up. Yanyan, why do you need to take care of your sister? Minister Kiao looked at Kiao Yihuan on the side. His tone is not as gentle as before. You are the elder sister. You must take good care of your younger sister. If Yanyan loses a single hair, I will not spare you when you come back. Kiao Yihuan saw meds to be used to it and slightly nodded. Father, don't worry. Minister Kiao really didn't like this daughter. From the bottom of his heart, back then, if her mother was a maid, hadn't he climbed into bed and accidentally gotten pregnant, he wouldn't have kept such a mistress. Back then, because of such a mistress, his father, Alin Allah, almost did. He let him marry Yan Yan's mother. And all these years, she never said anything coquettish. Her food, clothing, housing, and transportation were the same as Yan Yan's. He didn't treat her badly either. Yan Yan spent a lot of money on a daily basis, but that was the pocket money given by her mother. The pocket money he gave to the two daughters from his monthly allowance was the same, but she was always cold to him. How could she be as cute and affectionate as Yan Yan? Calling him father? Minister Kiao instructed for a long time. Kiao Wan. Yan's sears were almost calloused. She took his arm and coquettishly said, Father, don't worry. Your daughter remembers everything. If you keep talking, we might not be able to leave the city until sunset. And father, you know that my sister and I are going out. Instead of talking so much, it's better to arrange more guards. Minister Kiao smiled when he heard this. The Crown Prince is going to Qingzhou today to deal with the refugee matter. Qingzhou pauses. Through Yangzhou, the Crown Prince will travel with you on this journey. What more guards do you need? Kiao Yihuan was abbot. surprised and happy. "Father, is it true?" Minister Kiao said, "Of course it's true. I've already talked to the Crown Prince. He'll wait for you at the tea house, 10 miles outside the capital, Yanyan. You must work hard." Why was this child so calm? It was as if she had known from the beginning. As the sky gradually began to snow, large snowflakes like goose feathers fluttered down from the sky one after another. Kia Wanyan held a hand warmer and watched the snowy scenery outside the carriage window. The wheels of the carriage creaked as they rolled, and the land covered in a silver blanket was like an extremely beautiful and tranquil paintings. After traveling for about the time it takes to burn an incense stick, they finally arrived at the tea house. Kiao Yiwan was the first to get off the carriage. And sure enough, she saw Heziyu sitting inside the tea house, drinking tea. Overjoyed, she quickly walked over and said, "Your Highness." Kiao Wanyan slowly got off the carriage. Behind her, out of the corner of her eye, she glanced at the people accompanying the Crown Prince, all dressed in casual clothes. When she entered the tea house and saw the Crown Prince also in ordinary attire, he looked just like a noble young master. She walked over, her voice sweet and delicate like plum candy, and said, "Good day, young master." Kiao Yiwan raised her eyes, brows slightly, and asked, "Sister, why do you address His Highness like that?" Kiao Wanyan was sensitive to the cold, wearing a thick fox fur cloak, revealing only an astonishing, beautiful face. She blinked her eyes, which were as clear as autumn waves, like a little rabbit. "I saw that the people accompanying Your Highness are all in casual clothes, and Your Highness is also wearing ordinary clothing. Father said that Your Highness is going to Qingzhou to handle the matter of the refugees. I figure that Your Highness wants to conceal your identity to obtain the most accurate information, and doesn't want people to know your identity. So it took the liberty to addresses you as young master." After speaking, she looked at Heziyu again and asked, "Did this servant angries?" A hint of approval flashed in Heziyu's eyes, and he said, "What you said is correct. You can address me as young master on this journey." Only then did Kiao Wanyan break into his smiles again and said, "But." Heziyu straightforwardly said, "Just speak your mind." Kiao Wanyan glanced at Kiao Yiwan, whose expression was a bit stiff and lonely, and boldly said, "Father said that my sister and I can travel with you, young master, so that you can take care of us. But it's really inappropriate for two unmarried women to travel with you, young master. I'm afraid it will bring you trouble." Heziyu didn't speak. He just looked at her quietly, waiting for what she would say next. He had also read this. Traveling together did suit his intentions, but it would bring unfavorable consequences for the two young ladies. Kiao Yiwan looked at her somewhat puzzled. What did she want to say? Did she not want to travel with His Highness anymore? Could it be that she really didn't want to marry His Highness anymore and also wanted to prevent her from being with His Highness? Kiao Wanyan then said, "Why don't you, young master, pretending to be my sister's husband? That way, if someone asks, you won't have to explain so much." Kiao Yiwan's face instantly turned red. How could Wanyan say such a thing? How could this work? She glanced at Heziyu, who was looking at her, and immediately averted her gaze, lowering her head filled with shyness. Heziyu smiled and said, "Wanyan's idea is very good, but we still need to ask Yiwan's opinion." Kiao Wanyan walked over and took her arm, and with a smile on her face, it would be a bit of a hardship for sisters to say, "Pretend for this journey. This way, it can help the young master and also save a lot of trouble." How about it? Qiao Yuan's face was as if it were bleeding, burning hot. It's some meds that Wanyan really didn't want to competing with her for His Highness anymore, although she was enthused to her change. Maybe it was because she didn't understand the real her before and had too little contact with her. Actually, Wanyan was quite nice. Zhao Ying's but still hurts terribly, and she hated the second miss to death. But now, she couldn't figure out what the second miss was up to. Could she have really changed for the better? No, there must be a trick. This vicious woman, it's shards to change one's nature. She wouldn't change for the better so easily. Ziyuan only felt that the sky in front of her went dark, as if the sky had collapsed again. Of the two maids, one thought Qiao Wanyan was up to some conspiracy, and the others thought she had gone crazy. Each of them had their own thoughts as they got on the carriage and set off on their journey in winter. The sky gets dark quickly. By evening, the group arrived at Anchang County and stayed at the largest inn in the county. When the shopkeeper saw that the leading guests were dressed in expensive clothes, he knew that wealthy patrons had arrived. Are you guests here to have a meal or stay for the night? We're staying for the night, Qiao Wanyan said gently. Please, shopkeeper, help my sister brother-in-law and me finding the best rooms you have here. The shopkeeper smiled and said, sure thing. We only have two of the best rooms left. One for the young lady and one for the young couple. It's just perfect. Qiao Yuan awkwardly turned. She heads to look at Heziyu, and Heziyu was also a bit embarrassed. Qiao Wanyan watched the expressions on their faces with great interest. If neither of them spoke up, the two would stay in the same room. But if they stayed in the same room before getting married, and if even a bit of news got out, the capital would surely be in an uproar. Given the Empress Dowager's temperament, Qiao Yuan wouldn't even be able to hope for the position of crown princess. Even becoming a side consort would be extremely difficult in the future. She would only become a prince of the crown. Heziyu was the first to speak. Yuan was timid and didn't know how to handle such a situation. But he had to consider Yuan's reputation. Yuan, you and your sister can each have a room. Shopkeeper, please find me an ordinary room. The shopkeeper chuckled and said, young master, you Ray already married. What's there to be shy about? What kind of young couple goes out and stays in separate rooms? Heziyu didn't know how to explain. Qiao Wanyan timely stepped in to defuse the situation, saying my sister and brother in the laws are having a quarrel. It's really a headache. Shopkeeper, please take us to our rooms quickly. They Ray exhausted after traveling all day. The shopkeeper understood. This was a young couple having a quarrel and not wanting to stay together. Heziyu looked at Qiao Wanyan a few more times. When assigning rooms, Qiao Wanyan directly went to a slightly worse room and thoughtfully said, I'm very happy that my brother-in-law let my sister and me stay in the good rooms. But my brother-in-law has taken good care of us along the way. If he can sleep well, my sister would feel sorry. These words sounded like she was trying to bring the two closer together. But Heziyu somehow felt that some people could only be known to be kind-hearted and thoughtful after personal contact. Yuan had a pure and good nature. How could her sister be any worse? Back in her room, Ziyuan complained discontentedly. Miss, why did you create an opportunity for the eldest miss and His Highness? The young master? Qiao Wanyan curled her lips into a mocking smile. She was only being thoughtful in words, but had no our intentions of staying in this room. Honing Street and responsible tonight. Ziyuan, no need to add charcoal. But miss, if we don't add it, I estimate it will go out before midnight. There's no underground heating or warming. Walls in the room in winter. It will freeze to death. Kia Wanyan smiled and said, "We just wanted to go out." At the beginning of noon, the charcoal basin had already been out for the time it takes to burn half an incense stick. Kia Wanyan calculated the time, took off her warm cloak, and got up to leave the guest room. The corridor was pitch black, and a piercing chill hit Kia Wanyan's hands and feet were cold. She walked towards the stairs by the faint light. Her steps were light and slow. Unable to see the stairs clearly, she could only feel her way down step by step. When she was more than halfway down the stairs and almost at the first floor, suddenly her foot slipped, and she stumbled forward. Kia Wanyan took a sharp breath, just as she was about to make intimate contact with the ground. Someone steadily caught her. In an instant, she was held and placed on the ground of the first floor. Kia Wanyan was starting lead. She covered her chest, a look of panic and weariness on her face, and stepped back. It wasn't until she retreated to the wall that she tremblingly asked, "Who are you?" No one answered. Only the sound of footsteps leaving and then returning was heard. Jing Yuan lit a candle with a fire starter, and the faint warm yellow lights illuminated Ted a corner. "Brother-in-law?" The look of panic and fear on Kia Wanyan's face instantly diminished Abbott, her fair and clear. The face showed a hint of shyness and fear. He-Shi-Yu was a bit puzzled and asked, "Why are you here?" "Kia Wanyan, why am I here?" "Nonsense, of course, because know you'll be here at this time. Otherwise, would I be torturing myself for no reason?" Kia Wanyan said softly. The charcoal in the room went out. I wanted to find Ziwan to help me relight it. She seems to be staying on the first floor, but I don't know which room. She lowered her head slightly, raised her eyes to look at him, looking as pitiful as a delicating flowers swaying in the wind. She was wearing extremely thin clothes, and at this moment, her body trembled slightly, truly making one feel pity. Kia Wanyan timidly said, "Brother-in-law, I'm so cold." He-Zi-Yu only felt a buzzy sound in his mind, unconscious lie. He took off his large cloak and draped it over her, carefully tying the straps. "I'll take you back and help you relight the charcoal." Kia Wanyan felt Abbott's self-blame and said, "And the inns it stayed in before also had underground heating or warming walls. This time, I didn't think it through and didn't add more charcoal before going to sleep. Now I am troubling you. Brother-in-law, it's really my fault for not being sensible." He-Shiyu's tone was gentle as he said, "It's not your fault. You've always lived a life of comfort and privilege. This isn't something you should have to worry about." He took the candle from Jing Yuan Shandong to light the way under his feet and walked upstairs side by side with Kia Wanyan. A room without underground heating or warm walls will still be a bit cold even with a charcoal fire. You can go to the third floor and stay with your elder sister. Make do for tonight. And next time, I'll definitely find you a good room." Kia Wanyan politely declined, saying, "It's so late. An elder sister has already gone to sleep. I didn't wanted to disturb her brother-in-law. It's okay, just troubling you too. Help me relight the charcoal." He-Shi-Yu paused and said, "Then you can stay in my room." Kia Wanyan quickly shook her head and said, "How can that be? Brother-in-law, you're of noble status. How can you stay in my room? It's really okay. I'm already very grateful that you helped me relight the charcoal. It's fine. I'm a man. It is no big deal to make do when traveling." Kia Wanyan lowered her head, pursed her lips and said with a faint smile, "Brother-in-law is so nice." Heeziyu looked at her profile. Even by the candlelight, he could see that her skin was in excellent condition. Her fair and tender cheeks were like blooming peach blossoms, as if they could be squeezed to release water. Her shallow dimples were as sweet as can-dyed fruits. As she walked, a faint fragrance wafted over from her hair, and the rich fragrance drifted into his nostrils. Heeziyu averted his gaze. Wanyan was a good girl. In the future, he would definitely find the best marriage for her. The room with underground heating was as warm as spring. Kiao Wanyan had a good night's sleep. The next day, she was woken up by a knock on the door. She rubbed her sleepy eyes, put on her cloak in a daze, and got out of bed and opened the door. Outside the door, Kiao Yihuan saw the person who opened the door, her eyes wide open. Without waiting to speak, she directly stepped inside, finding that there was no one else inside. She still couldn't believe why she was here. Wanyan, why are you here? What exactly happened last night? Why was she still wearing His Highness' large cloak? Kiao Wanyan tucked her hair behind her ear and said, "Brother, in Allah let me. Come over. Sister woke me up, and now my head hurts. If sister is curious, you can go ask brother-in-law." After speaking, she pushed her out. Kiao Yihuan frowned, her chest rising and falling slightly. She turned and ran towards the room on the second floor, knocking violently on the door. As expected, it was Heeziyu who opened the door. "Yihuan, why are you here so early? Did you come to find Wanyan?" Wanyan? Such an affectionate way of addressing her. In the past, he always addressed Kiao Wanyan as the second miss of the Kiao family. "Why is your highness here?" Heeziyu felt some strange at her. What accusatory tone. Was Yihuan jealous? Yihuan listened to my explanation. Heeziyu explained the whole story of last night. Clearly, Kiao Yihuan still felt a bit uncomfortable and said, "Then let her stay with. Why swap rooms?" At this moment, Kiao Wanyan trotted over, panting heavily, and said, "Sister, don't misunderstand. It's because I am spoiled and had second thoughts. So it made a fuss to swap with brother-in-law. It was brother-in-law Sidia, Dawn. T misunderstand brother-in-law." Heeziyu said in a deep voice. Yihuan, don't be unreasonable. Wanyan, go inside and put on your cloak. Don't catch a cold. Kiao Wanyan had deliberately taken off the large cloak when she came over. Now, hearing his words, she obedient nodded and went inside to put on her cloak. Kiao Yihuan felt like a joke. Clearly, His Highness had been unique, like gentle with her before. So why did she feel that His Highness had changed habit? Was it really like this? Or was she just being too sensitive? Kiao Wanyan carefully asked sister, "Since we ray both up, shall we go have breakfast?" Kiao Yihuan felt wrong-ed, but still nodded and turned to leave. Kiao Wanyan sighed inwardly. What about being kind and gentle? Kiao Yihuan was just a stubborn person. Since she was a child, she hasn't been good at communicating with others. When facing bullying from others, she would only endure it, not looking for the other person's fault, but doubting if she had done something wrong to be bullied. Today she bravely questioned Heeziyu out of anger, feeling betrayed. But now she was crushed by Heeziyu's words of, "Don't be unreasonable," and returned to her stubborn nature. Clearly, she was extremely wrong-ed and angry in her heart, but she didn't dare to refute or resist, just submitting to adversity. With such a temperament, the more wronged she could be, the more wrong-ed she would be in the future. People all have bad instincts. If they know you ray easy to bully, They will subconsciously bully you. He watched her leaving back. Feeling a bit regretful about what he had said, Kia Wanyan bit her lip and said, "Brother-in-law, is it my fault? I shouldn't have a last night. It's not your fault." He averted his gaze and said, "I wanted to swap with you, and it's hard for you for taking the blame to prevent any misunderstandings between us." Kia Wanyan whispered, "If there's mutual trust, how can misunderstandings arise? What did you say?" Kia Wanyan shook her head and said, "Nothing. I'm leaving first." With that, she hurriedly left. Yu lowered his eyes. "If there's mutual trust." After the meal, Jingyuan asked the innkeeper to prepare some drying rations, since they read they would entreat the next city falls by night and would have to camp in the wild. It was better to bring extra food, taking advantage of the break. Kia Wanyan pulled Yi Wan out for a stroll, with Yu tagging along as their pair. But Kia Wanyan knew he was trying to pacify Yi Wan. "Sister, please give me some money. I haven't eaten in days. Have pity on me." A young beggar ran over. Pleading pitifully, Kia Wanyan smiled and waved him over, taking out taels of silver from her purse and handing it to him. The beggar was stunned. 1 tael of silver? Such a generous noble. "Thank you, sister. Thank you," he said, snatching the silver and dashing away. Kia Wanyan sighed. "It's so cold, and that child is barely dressed. He's pitiful. Pitiful." She turned to sister Yi Wan. "I don't feel like shopping anymore. I'll go back to the inn and wait for you." Yi Wan opened her mouth to speak but fell. Silent out is Wanyan deliberately creating alone time for me and His Highness? She wondered, maybe last night was just a coincidence. His Highness was being kind by letting me stay in the 3rd floor private room. I was too sensitive. Kia Wanyan turned to exchange unknowing smiles with Yu behind her. Once they were out of earshot, Ziyu-an grumbled, "Miss, aren't you setting them up?" Kia Wanyan nodded. "Why, miss?" Ziyu-an protested. Wanyan patted her head. "Because you're missing is a kinda person." Ziyu-an fell silent. In truth, Kia Wanyan thought, if the crown prince likes simplicity and kindness, I'll play the part. You can trust to steal someone. Suspicion being too obvious only raises suspicion. One miss. Understanding leads to another. And even if resolved, the grudge lingers. Eventually, it becomes a fuse. No one likes women or bitters. Endures repeated betrayals. When love turns to suspicion, it's a dead end. Her enchanting peached blossom eyes held a smirk. Better to trust myself than men. Or love. I'll never betray me. In an alley, 2 ragged beggar boys 8 to 9 years old eyed the master and servant heading back to the inn like prey. "See this? The woman gave me a tael of silver. Rich folks are idiots, so easy to trick. Just act poor, and they'll soften up and give loads of money." The other boys nodded. "You're amazing, big brother. I can't beg a tael in a whole month." Of course, with a little more scheming, she'll give me another tael. They'll feel sorry for me like fools, so easy to manipulate. The boy smirk darted through the alley and cut ahead of them. Oof. He pretended to crash into Kia Wanyan, then scrambled up, patting his pants. "Forgive me, miss. I was in a hurry and didn't mean to bump you." Kia Wanyan frowned slightly. Ziyu-an snapped. "Clumsy wretch. Asery is all you have?" The beggars ignored her. Rich families. Maids were all arrogant. I deserve to die. I'm rushing to buy medicine for my sister, but I need 2 taels and only have half. She's gravely ill at home. I was to anx you. and didn't watch where I was going. Wanyan said gently. It's alright, you're just worried about your sister, Ziwan. Take care of this. With that, she walked away. Ziwan sized up the boy. Follow me in a secluded alleys. The boy thrilled at the thought of earning 2 taels in a day, enough to live comfortably all winter. Rich people really are idiots. AAGH. My hand. Wanyan glanced at Ziwan, trailing behind. No one saw? Ziwan nodded. Throw away my cape when we get back of that beggar touched edit. It's filthy. Yes, miss. After 4 or 5 days of hurry, they were still half a day from the next county, and camped by her Ivor, Kiao Wanyan stood by the water, holding a hand warmer, watching the western sunset paint the sky crimson, creating a stunning, intoxicating sunset glow. As she admired the scenery, she became a beautiful sight in others' eyes. Kiao Yihuan approached, having grown more attentive lately, perhaps grateful for the alone time with the crown. Prince, why are you washing your handkerchief in such cold water, sister? Xiao Ying isn't feeling well, so I let her rest. Wanyan replied with a smile. Who's there? Come out. Ziwan suddenly snapped at a tree. A small head peeked out. Almond eyes wary, Kiao Wanyan's eyes half-lidded. So this is the chance encounter from the story. Books that are false Kiao Yihuan. Kiao Yihuan stood up as Wanyan walked towards the girl, a 13 to 14-year-old with a plain outfit but lively, cute features. She gaped at the goddess, like beauty before her. Sister, you're so pretty. In the story, Kiao Wanyan had SC offed at the compliment, but now she smiled kindly. Thank you. What's a girl like? You doing alone in the wilderness? Is something wrong? You can tell me if you like. The girl, smitten by both beauty and kindness, trembled. I'm trying to find my brother. My parents died when I was little, and I've been living with my aunt. She wants to sell me to a 70-year-old man. So he ran away to Yangju to find my brother. Wanyan didn't expose her lies. Orphan parents. That's true. But finding her brother? Just a rebellious girls sneaking out from under her brother's watch. Her brother was none other than Yun Heng, 9 of the youngest medical prodigies in the world. Provinces known as the Divine Physician.